book in the library doesn't have a title. It doesn't have an author. And it didn't have any writing in it when I first opened it. But 3 days later, the first sentence appeared. It said, "Thomas Weaver will die tomorrow at sunset." I thought it was some kind of sick joke, until the church bells rang the next evening, and Thomas Weaver fell from the tower exactly at sunset. That's when I realized something terrifying. The book wasn't recording deaths, it was writing them. I work as the night archivist at Thornhill Library. It's an old stone building, older than most of the town itself, filled with dusty shelves, forgotten manuscripts, and books that haven't been opened in decades. Most nights are quiet. Just the sound of turning pages and the occasional creak of old wood settling. But about a month ago, something appeared in the return slot that shouldn't have been there. The book. It arrived sometime between midnight and sunrise. The morning clerk found it sitting in the metal return tray. There was no library card attached, no stamp, no record in the system, which meant it wasn't one of ours. At first glance, it looked ordinary enough. Black leather cover, heavy spine, thick parchment pages. But something about it felt wrong. The leather was cold. Not cool from the air, but cold in a way that reminded me of touching stone in winter. When I opened the book, I expected to see handwriting, notes, maybe a journal. But every single page was blank. Perfectly blank. I placed it in the archive room for cataloguing. And for 3 days, nothing happened. On the fourth night, I opened the book again, and the first sentence had appeared. "Thomas Weaver will die tomorrow at sunset." At first, I assumed someone had written it as a prank. The ink was dark and fresh, as if it had just been written moments earlier. But the archive room is locked. Only 3 people have keys, and none of them had been there. Still, it had to be a joke. It had to be. So I closed the book and forgot about it. The next evening, the church bells began ringing. Loud. Urgent. The kind of ringing that means something terrible has happened. A crowd gathered outside the cathedral, and someone said Thomas Weaver had fallen from the bell tower. The priest found him at the base of the stairs, dead. The clock above the church struck sunset as they carried his body away. I didn't think about the book again until that night, until I opened it and saw another sentence. "Eliza Moore will drown in the river tomorrow before the moon rises." My stomach turned. It had to be coincidence. Just a terrible coincidence. But the next evening, Eliza Moore's boat overturned while she was crossing the river. She never resurfaced. After that, the book began writing every night. One new sentence, one new name, one new death. Always the day before it happened, and always exactly the way the book described. At first I tried to warn people. I truly did. But no one believed me. When I told the baker he would die in a fire, he laughed. 3 days later, his oven exploded. When I warned the blacksmith about falling from his horse, he told me to stop reading so many ghost stories. He broke his neck on the road the next morning. Eventually, I stopped warning people, because the truth became clear. The book didn't care. The deaths happened exactly as written, no matter what anyone did. For weeks, the pages filled slowly, line after line, name after name, death after death, until one night, the book stopped. No new writing appeared. The page remained blank. For the first time since it arrived, I stared at the empty page for hours, waiting, listening, but the ink never appeared. Eventually, exhaustion forced me to close the book. The next morning I opened it again, and my heart stopped, because the book had written only one line. Archivist Daniel Hale will die tomorrow at midnight. My name. For a long time, I simply stared at the page, reading the sentence over and over again, waiting for it to disappear, waiting for the ink to fade. But the words remained, cold, permanent, unchangeable. I tried to destroy the book. I threw it into the furnace in the basement. The flames consumed the pages instantly. But when I opened the furnace the next morning, the book was sitting on the floor beside it, completely unharmed. I tried tearing the pages out. They simply grew back. I even tried throwing it into the river. But the next night, it was back on the archive desk waiting for me, open, to the same page. Archivist Daniel Hale will die tomorrow at midnight. So I decided to cheat the book. If it predicted my death in the library, then I would leave. I packed a bag and rode a horse out of town, miles away, to a small inn along the northern road, far from Thornhill, far from the book, far from whatever curse it carried. I rented a room and waited. The hours passed slowly, painfully slowly. Every tick of the clock sounded louder than the last. When midnight approached, my hands began to shake. 11:58, 11:59. The final seconds crept closer, and the clock struck 12, and nothing happened. I laughed, actually laughed. The book had been wrong. For the first time, it had been wrong. Then someone knocked on my door. 3 slow knocks. I hesitated before opening it. Standing in the hallway was a traveller wrapped in a dark cloak, his face hidden beneath the hood. He held something in his hands, a book. He handed it to me without speaking, then turned and walked down the stairs. I closed the door slowly and placed the book on the table. My heart was racing. I already knew what it was. The same black leather cover, the same cold pages, the same terrible silence. But this time, the book was heavier, much heavier. When I opened it, my stomach dropped. Every page was filled. Thousands of names, thousands of deaths, past, present, future. And when I reached the final page, the last sentence began writing itself, slowly. Archivist Daniel Hale will die. The ink paused, as if deciding something. Then it continued. Tomorrow. Because now, I own the book.